Urgent, Hawks fan, look at what just happened. Nobody saw this coming, huh? But first, make sure to subscribe to the channel because we bring you daily videos with the latest Hawks news. And don't forget to turn on notifications so you don't miss anything. Alex McGow, Malik Turner headline, former Seahawks playing in UFL spring football, is here. Maybe. Did you know this week is the start of a brand new United Football League UFL season? Well, if you didn't, you know now. The 2025 campaign for spring football kicks off with the St. Louis Battlehawks and the Houston Roughnecks on Friday, March 28. We think because the league might actually go on strike. Whether there's a strike or not, I don't think the whole season is suddenly in jeopardy of cancellation. Having combed through all 8 rosters, I see plenty of players with even the loosest ties to the Seattle Seahawks. Let's take a look at which ones are in the league. Was on a Seahawks 53-man or game day. Roster WR Cade Johnson, Birmingham Stallions. One of the 7,000 Seahawks undrafted receivers thought to be a potential Doug Baldwin clone, Johnson bounced between active roster and practice squad from 2021 to 2023, catching a couple of passes for 21 yards in Seattle. This is Johnson's first UFL season. CB Fayan Hicks, Birmingham Stallions. Added to the practice squad after roster cuts, Hicks played 27 snaps, just about split evenly between defense and special teams as a game day elevation. CB Kelvin Joseph, DC Defenders. The former Dallas Cowboys cornerback was picked up by Seattle. In 2023, he was mostly on the practice squad but was elevated for one game against the Tennessee Titans to play on special teams. It's Joseph's first year in the UFL. WR Malik Turner, Michigan Panthers. After spending 2 seasons with the Seahawks, including catching a touchdown against the Philadelphia Eagles on a trick play in 2019, Turner has bounced around the NFL and finally found himself on a spring roster for the first time. WR Gary Jennings Jr., St. Louis Battlehawks. I think we know how his Seahawks tenure went back in 2019. Jennings is entering his 3rd season in spring football and his 2nd with the Battlehawks. When the XFL existed in 2023, Jennings caught 3 touchdowns on 11 catches. DT Austin Faulu St. Louis Battlehawks. Faulu was actually a Seattle Sea Dragon in 2023 before joining the Seahawks later that same year as the team searched for defensive tackle depth. This is his 2nd season in St. Louis, was on Seahawks practice squad, training camp, or preseason. Roster TE Sal Cannella Arlington Renegades. Beyond his name sounding like something you don't want to contract, Cannella was signed by the Seahawks for the preseason finale in 2023. He had an outstanding 2024 in the UFL, leading the league in touchdown. Receptions with 6, DT Kion Bars Arlington Renegades. Preseason fodder back in 2024 and momentarily on the practice squad, CB Carlton Johnson, Arlington Renegades, a speedy, intriguing UDFA pickup last season who did not make the Seahawks roster or the practice squad. QB Alex McGow, Birmingham Stallions, the only other quarterback besides Russell Wilson who was drafted by John Schneider. McGow never made the active roster but has been outstanding in spring football, winning USFL MVP in 2023. He's got 2 USFL titles and is gunning for a 3rd Spring Football League crown. QB Holton Allers Arlington Renegades. Ah yes, he was. An adventurous QB in 2023 preseason, but also so much so that he had no shot at the active roster. Allers has been with the Renegades since 2024 but hasn't thrown a pass yet. T.E. J. Sternberger, Birmingham Stallions. Very short stint on Seattle's practice squad in 2021 after 3 seasons with the Green Bay Packers. WR Ty Scott, DC Defenders. Was signed via the UFL by the Seahawks last season and is now back in the UFL after practice squad time in the NFL. D.E. Nelson Caesar, DC Defenders. One of my personal favorite UDFA signings from last season didn't really pan out for the Seahawks. CB Lance Boykin, Memphis Showboats. Spent his 1st season with the Seahawks in preseason and on the practice squad before being waived last August. Boykin joined Memphis last December. QB Danny Etling, Michigan Panthers. He was with the Seahawks practice squad for a couple of weeks, while Russell Wilson was injured and Geno Smith was starting. The former LSU QB is in his 2nd year with Michigan and started several games last year. Hez the Week 1 starter this year. DL Walter Palmore, Michigan Panthers. An undrafted free agent who signed with Seattle in 2021 but didn't last through preseason. Palmore played 2 seasons with Michigan in the old USFL, got an NFL contract with the Carolina Panthers, and now is back with Michigan. OL Greg Island San Antonio Brahmas. 3 seasons with the Seahawks from 2021 to 2023, but never made it onto the regular season roster. CB Chris Steele San Antonio Brahmas. The former USC corner was a camp preseason body in 2023 for the Seahawks. DL Jacob Sykes San Antonio Brahmas, an intriguing UDFA from UCLA who impressed in 2023 preseason, but not enough to earn a roster spot. This is his second season in San Antonio. An honorable mention to St. Louis Battlehawks backup quarterback Chevan Cordero, who was a UDFA pickup for the Seahawks last season, but didn't even get beyond rookie minicamp. It also looks like the Houston Roughnecks are the only team without any ex-Seahawks. Unfortunately, the Seattle Sea Dragons are still not a part of the UFL after being excluded from the XFL-USFL merger. There were rumblings that the Sea Dragons could be back in 2026, but I need to see the UFL itself actually be a lock to return in 2026 before making any grand declarations. Spring football has become a catalyst for getting back into the NFL, so you never know if a strong season can turn into something great for these UFL players. Pausing this news just to say that if you want YouTube to keep recommending the latest Hawks news to you, it's very important that you leave a like on this video. Thanks. Now let's get back to the news. Seahawks signed veteran receiver Steven Sims. The Seahawks added another receiver and return candidate on Tuesday, signing 6-year veteran Steven Sims Jr., who spent last season with Houston and Baltimore. The 5'10", 176-pounder out of Kansas has 78 receptions in 53 career games with 704 yards and 5 touchdowns. Sims has 74 punt returns for 462 yards and no touchdowns, and 62 kickoff returns for 1,561 yards, and 1 TD and 91-yarder for Washington in 2019. One free agency move Seahawks made that threatens 49ers. The Seahawks aren't a juggernaut, but they did. Make one move that can threaten the 49ers in their matchups next season. Of all the teams that should worry the 49ers in the NFC West, it is the Seahawks that are at the bottom. 2025 looks like a rebuilding year for them, given how they tore down their offense in free agency. However, despite the teardown, there's one free agency move the Seahawks made that threatens the 49ers. Oddly enough, it is the signing of Sam Darnold. Going from Geno Smith to Darnold isn't a dramatic change. Smith is arguably the better quarterback, but he never looked great against the 49ers. The only reason I named Darnold as the player who helped Seattle increase their threatening level is because the 49ers have owned the Seahawks with Geno Smith. They only won once against the 49ers with Smith starting. It was the complete opposite of what the Seahawks did against them with Russell Wilson as the starter. Now that Smith is gone, the Seahawks have a chance to change the pattern. Plus, Darnold played well against the 49ers with the Vikings in Week 2 last year. Granted, he doesn't have nearly the same lethal weapons with the Seahawks, so that's assuring. He will also have a weaker offensive line and a lesser offensive coordinator. Still, this is more of a case of addition by subtraction. The 49ers had little worry if ever facing the Seahawks with Smith as their starting quarterback. Darnold gives them a chance to steer away from being dominated by the 49ers and gives them a real fight going forward. The Seahawks should have been better against the 49ers with Smith. Unfortunately for them, that never took place. It wasn't until they finally won in their last matchup with Smith as the starter, which was aided by Nick Bosa exiting the game due to injury. Darnold is a clean slate for the Seahawks in their head-to-heads with the 49ers. It can't get much worse than how it was when Smith was the starter. Or can it? And now, 12's fan, I want to hear from you. What's your opinion on this? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I don't know if you know this, but your opinion matters a lot for Hawks. I'll be back any moment with more news.